y'all, I'm Rev Mimi and I am here with another spiritual snack. The Kingdom Fellowship theme for this month is prayer. Our pastor is going to be preaching on prayer. Our life groups are going to be centered around prayer. And keeping in line with that same theme, guess what we're going to be talking about? Prayer is a very interesting thing. And when I was you all's age, I didn't think it was that interesting, I know. And I'm sure that you're wondering why I think it's so interesting. But I recently read the book of Job all the way through. Now, this is a book that I kind of avoided my whole entire life because I knew it was mad depressing. Everyone always talks about how horrible Job's plight is. Job never stopped believing in God. And I know that that's something that we all wish we had the capacity to do. We all wish that we had the capacity to not doubt God. But the truth is, every once in a while, when we feel that we can't hear God's voice, when we feel that we're praying and nothing is changing, we can begin to doubt God. The reason that I brought Job up today is because just like Job, we have to find the strength to talk to God, even when we're mad at God. To pray to God, even when we're upset with God, or even when we feel like we're not hearing directly from God in this moment. Job continued to pray. Job continued to worship God, even in the middle of this horrible season. And we have to be able to do the same. One of the things that stood out the most, remember I told you that I read through the entire book of Job, but one of the things that stood out the most was all the way at the end in chapter 38, when the Lord finally speaks. When the Lord finally responds to Job's many prayer requests. In chapter 38, verse 1, it says, "Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm." Out of the storm. That means that God was able to cut through the turmoil and the mess that Job was in and reach him right where he was. But also, y'all, just before God speaks, Job had this group of friends that were all trying to tell him what to do, that were all trying to tell him that it's Job's fault that all of this horrible stuff had happened to him, that Job must have been unrighteous, that Job must have been unclean. And all of this was not true, right? Job had been doing what he was supposed to do. And so God responds and he speaks to those who were speaking on his behalf. Does that make sense? Like, he talks to Job's friend. He admonishes Job's friends and he says to them, listen, you don't know me. He basically says, you don't know my work. You don't know the power and what I'm capable of, and you have no idea why these things have happened in Job's life. So how can you speak on them? The thing is, there are a lot of people who are speaking on things right now that they have no business speaking on. No one knows when this is going to end. We're praying and we're believing it ends soon, amen, but we don't know when it's going to end. There are a lot of people that are speaking on things that they just don't have the mental capacity or the prophetic ability to be able to speak to. They just don't have it in them. The only person, the only being that is able to speak to what is to come is God. That is the only being that is able to truly speak to when this season will end, that is able to truly speak to how we're going to get through this season. And that's why I love the way that the book of Job ends. Because not only does God speak to Job in the middle of the storm, right? Not only does God check those people who were speaking out of the side of their mouth, right, on things that they have no idea about, but what's more is that he restores Job. Everything that he took away from him, he replenished, he doubled, he multiplied. And how awesome is that, that our God has the ability to not just get you through the storm, but to double your profit once you get to the other side. How awesome is it that our God has the ability to make up for every single thing that you feel that you've lost? How awesome is that? What an amazing God that is. And so as you're looking for answers, right? When you find yourself questioning or doubting or just being angry at God, don't stop praying. In fact, pray even more. Pray even harder. That's what Job did. And it took God a while to answer. Let's be real. It took God a while to answer, but he answered. And when he answered, I'm sure it blew Job's mind because Job was able to be in a better place than he was before the storm began. Whatever storm you find yourself in, and I'm not just talking about the pandemic, I'm talking about anything that is draining you, anything that is making you feel like you can't come out of it stronger and better. I want you to know that God says that that's not the case. that God says that everything that you're going through will pass, and that once you get through this season, there is better on the other side. So you just need to pray through. Just keep praying, even if you don't hear God's voice right away, even if you feel like the storm is taking too long to pass. Understand that God is with you, and even if you can't hear him speak, he's right next to you, strengthening you through it all. So don't stop praying. Pray harder. That's all I have for y'all today. Make sure that you join me next week as we dive deeper into the power of prayer. Stay popping, y'all, and be blessed.